What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Today is Best Served Podcast 382. We're going to be talking food incubators representing Arab food culture, systemic change in the restaurant industry with Reem Assil of Reems, California. All things you know are core tenets of what we believe at Best Served. And already just got to talk to Reem for a little bit. Make sure and check out the article that Sophie will publish along with this. It's in the comments. Link up to that. A lot of really powerful and practical information that Reem was able to give us. And I think both are incredibly important. So no further ado, we got a lot to talk about. Let's bring Reem in here. Reem, good to see you.
Hi, good to be here. Good to
I
see
love
you.
this, right? We talked about being entrepreneurs, being hustlers, having to do what we do. And at first you were like embarrassed, like, oh, I'm in my car. I couldn't get there back in time. I'm like, I love it. Like, I absolutely love it because so many people in the restaurant industry know like you're eating cold food standing up over a trash can, unfortunately, is like some of our reality. So like you do what you got to do sometimes, but we're also trying to build a better foundation, better future, which is something that you've been able to do. So give us just the 42-second, if possible, Reems, California. What's it all about? What can people expect if they come to the Arab street food cafe?
Awesome. So thanks for having me. Reems, California is Arab bakery and restaurant based in the Bay Area. We have locations in Oakland and San Francisco. And our mission really is to build community across cultures, experiences, generations through the warmth of Arab bread and hospitality. Arab hospitality is an essential virtue of Arab culture, and we do it through our food. And our vision really is to build strong, resilient community through good jobs, nourishing food, and a sense of home for all.
Oh, that was so good. That was well, like when you live your ethos, it becomes so easy to just speak it and it flows out of you. And I believe every word that you said, and I know that you all are living it, no matter how hard it is, and it can be
Yeah.
really, really hard. I want to take everyone back a little bit because viewers, listeners of the show will definitely know, Nite at Mumbai, Sicily, Sierra, like
Mhm.
great voices across the industry as well. They both mentioned La Cocina, which is a food incubator focused on women into the hospitality world that you also were a part of. Cicely, I believe, worked for you, so there just a lot of connective tissue. Talk about that program for a moment and what it kind of meant to get you started with now what's Reems in multiple locations.
Yeah, Night was actually part of my cohort, so it was really fun to go on that journey together.
Powerhouses in the same cohort. I love hearing that. You are transforming the Bay Area.
Yeah, I think I mean La Cocina is forever part of our story. I think that I was very lucky. There's something to be said about being in the right place at the right time. I certainly worked hard, but I think that one of the things La Cocina really did for me is open up audiences and avenues that I wouldn't have otherwise had access to. The world of food, especially for a woman of color, is not so kind. We, especially not making that sort of Eurocentric food, the to be legitimized as a chef, it takes a lot of social capital, and
Yeah.
I had social
Reem, you're being
capital.
very kind about it. If you're not an old white guy making Euro bistro food in America, you're second class in our industry,
Yes,
supposedly.
yeah, like
And you're
you a
shifting
chef.
that in a massive
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, well, La Cocina really helped shift that. I think that they have really changed the
Mm.
image of what a chef is and what a chef could be. And they definitely connected us to, uh, you know, renowned chefs who've been successful, who played mentorship roles. For me, that was really important. I really wanted to believe in myself. I think it's one thing for La Cocina to convince other people that we are worthy of recognition. But for us to internalize that was really, really hard. It's not a surprise to me that small businesses don't last beyond their first year, because I wanted to quit so many times. And every time I wanted to quit, La Cocina kept throwing resources my way. And, many small business owners are not afforded those resources. So I feel very, very lucky to have not just folks in my court who are cheering for me, but also who are really putting their money where their mouth is and, you know, giving me resources that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to afford to get, right? From lease negotiations to funding to, access to big catering gigs with the Warriors. I mean, the whole gamut of it.
That makes such a difference to lay that foundation. Again, the profoundness of what you and I have talked about, and then also just the practicality of it, right? And you're speaking to like literally our mission statement is we exist to amplify the worth and work of those who feed their community. The work part is challenging, but you understand that the Arab food side of it, there's some equipment, techniques, ingredients, access, getting people to believe in it. The work part is difficult. The worth part is so much harder. We've been told, shut up, leave your shit at the door, smile, it's part of a uniform, you're only as good as your next plate up. And what you're talking about is like, we have to acknowledge ourselves and each other.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't done enough of that. So I'm really grateful that you're out there championing for that. And it means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing it. That's a big enough challenge if you are cooking Italian or French food, right? And now you're bringing a completely different complexity
Different
to it.
food.
Completely different food, which can be very scary for people to think of a new food. And you're also bringing in a food culture that's viewed as kind of monolithic. Mediterranean food, everybody has these things. Arab food, everybody has these things. And the reality of diversity, hell, within any given region or a culture, like is massive. So what does it mean for you at a high level to represent that food culture? But then how are you practically doing that? Because people walk in the door probably going, I have no idea what I'm about to experience.
Yeah, I really wanted to showcase the breadth and the depth of Arab foodways, the way that I became inspired by it as an adult. These are things that I had repressed as a child of
Wow.
immigrants for so long. And it was only as an adult that I learned these things, and I felt like I was robbed of that wisdom. And maybe it was serendipitous that it was at the time that I, went to the Arab world in 2010. And, you know, every single food that I was introduced to, I related to a story of the people and the community building. And so that's what I wanted to celebrate when I built Reems. I don't claim to know everything. I'm still learning. I'm still a student.
Good.
What I wanted to do was show the plurality and the nuance of people, especially in diaspora. So if you see our the menu at Reems, yes, our central product is the manouche. I really wanted to popularize the manouche. That's our flatbread. It's a quintessential street food of the Levant, where my parents are from. But it was something I grew up on. And I was like, this is such a versatile food. It's like fresh baked bread with, za'atar mix and fresh veggies, and you can wrap it up and eat it on the go. And I'm like, this could be the next pizza, or the next slice or the next burrito. And that could be really cool, and it's healthy. And so I wanted, I started off with that. I remember my mom being like, don't do za'atar, just do cheese. Like the Americans this was before it became kind of a thing. And my parents were really worried. They're like, do something a little bit more palatable. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to express myself, and then we have our bestseller, which is a Palestinian chicken dish that is really hard to pronounce, called musakhan. So we turned it into the Pali Cali. So it's Pali meets Palestinian meets Californian, and we put arugula and avocado in it, and it's really fun and accessible. So we really tried to make our food accessible. And when someone walks into the door, they feel a sense of home and familiarity through the hospitality. And then bread is just kind of a transcendent thing. Every
Universal.
culture has some version of bread. Even my employees know how to work with, our sourdough master dough, because it's how they make their tortillas, so I think that there's something really transcendent about it that connects people. So that's why I built it on bread. And yeah, we've, over the years, as people have understood the food ways more, built on that. But it's definitely been an organic process for us. I joked that I was never going to have falafel on my menu. I was like, I can't be like that. We're beyond the falafel and shawarma. I don't know. I was like on my high horse that I was too good for making
Sure.
falafel for whatever reason. But then the people really wanted their falafel. So I was like, okay, well, there isn't a really good falafel in the Bay Area. Let us do it. And now it's one of our best sellers. So,
Uh,
you know, you give and take.
yep.
I'm not about this is what I want, but it's I want to express myself in the best way that I can and also meet people where they're at. So
Oh, that's good. And we're gonna like this is a good transition because I want to talk about some of the systemic change. One of the things that you're talking about is building the bridge. You had to lay a foundation of trust with people that then now they'll take the journeys with you wherever you're gonna take them because they trust you. I think that's
mhm,
important. You're also then making change in an industry where we haven't had the pluralistic conversations about food, about culture, about the culture that we're representing on the plate, or more importantly, the culture that we're representing within our businesses, right? So
mhm,
now you're taking people on a journey and it makes sense from the customer standpoint. How then are you translating that into your internal guests, right? Your employees kind of
mhm,
experience. How is that? How can we learn from your experience of changing the industry kind of from within Reems as a kitchen,
mhm.
as a restaurant, as a business?
Yeah, I mean, from its very onset, Reems was a community based enterprise. We started as small farmers markets and built the following that way, and people came. And in fact, our first brick and mortar in the Fruitvale was really a result of a Kickstarter that we did. So our community is really embedded, and um, I have this theory of, you know, some people say build it and they will come, and I'm always like, fuck it, just let them build it with you, and then they're
Yeah.
more invested, you know, whether you fail or are successful or whatnot. So we kind of have the same approach to internally to our employees, which is that when people are invested in building, when people are trusted to help build something with you, they're more invested in it. It's just human nature, right? So we have always run, you know, Reems wasn't a cooperative from the outset, but I bring with me my experience. I came into the industry actually officially through the Arizmendi Bakery and Pizzeria cooperatives. You know, those are the Sisters to Cheese Board Collective. And so that those democratic tenants are strongly embedded in me. And it's like it's hard to make all the decisions as one business owner. Like I'd much rather make it, you know, it's very true that 12 hearts and minds are better than just one or two. There are blind spots that one singular person has. So we've always had staff meetings, you know, check-ins with folks. We put a lot of attention into um, understanding who our employees are and what they care about and finding a common ground and doing the best that we can to figure out how to meet people's needs. Now that's not easy within the
Yeah,
restaurant
there's no
industry
perfect
where the
system there.
margins are really thin, and
Right.
you know we're accountable to our employees and our community. We want to pay our workers well, but we don't want to price out our community. You know, there's all these things as a social justice based restaurant that we have to navigate. But in this new iteration of Reems, having been through the pandemic, having seen what it can do to a business, and having survived that with our set of employees, I think that that has built the trust that even if we fumble a little bit, we can still get through it. So I feel like that the longevity and the sustainability is really important to us. The um, making sure that people are always feeling like they're advancing, even if it's small monetary advancement or adding responsibilities. People no job is more important than the other job. We don't have the hierarchies that other restaurants traditionally have, and I think that that has served us really well, that people understand to advance at Reams it's about building their responsibilities and really pushing themselves out of their comfort zone. So yeah, I think those
Love
are a
it.
few of the things.
Love it. And for everybody, again, I'm gonna really plug the article that's in the comments because Reem absolutely gushing with so much information and so much passion for what you do, and I really, really appreciate that. And you're real about the fact that it's not easy. It's just not easy, and there is no one size fits all, and you're going to do 10 things right and then 4 things wrong, and then like you have to build the foundation and something sustainable for the long term. So appreciate you being at the vanguard of that. We absolutely need that type of leadership, and I know that you're going to be an incubator for other leaders as we look to continue to evolve and support quote unquote kids these days that are not the problem. They're our best chance
I
for a
always said
better
that I was
future.
gonna be the Alice Waters of the Arab
Hey,
race,
let's go.
because yeah, we have 2 alumni who came out of Reems. One started Shawarma G in Oakland,
Yeah.
and the other one, he is part of the Understory, which is in Old Oakland, and they're a worker-led um, restaurant, and they just won a emerging leadership award at the James Beard Foundation. So
Done. We're getting both of them on the show, Reem. Like that's exactly what we want. We want the long tail of leadership and
yeah,
evolution of our industry to be a part of this story.
exactly. We don't, one business can't do it all. You have to you have to build people and trust that they're going to go on and impact their own communities, even if it's not within food, in some shape or form, right? To have those ripple effects.
Amazing. Mic drop. That's Reem. So good. Let's get you back into the hustle life. Let's get you back out
Thank
there. Thank
you.
you so
Thanks for
much for being
having
on
me.
and the work that you do. And I know we'll talk more. I know we got things behind the scenes to do to continue to evolve.
Yeah,
But thank you.
awesome.
All right. Cheers. Have a great day.
Bye.
All right, everyone, that is it. Amazing. Reem is really, really changing the entire fabric and texture of what it means to be a part of a restaurant, what it means to be an entrepreneur and owner, as well as somebody who's just making delicious food. And the balance and sometimes juxtaposition of those is really important. There's a lot of good advice for new restaurant owners as well to develop these things. So once again, Best Served Podcast 382, Food Incubators, representing Arab food culture, systemic change in the restaurant industry, and so much more with Reem Assil of Reems, California. That's it. Appreciate you all. Cheers.